Wow, he must be dead. Are you dead, sir? I'm sorry, sir. You were the least sick of all the people who are here.
Out of my office.
I will file a complaint with a Better Business.
Mom, I got it on video, so it doesn't matter.
The doctor grabs the phone right out of the daughter's hand.
She live streamed plastic surgery on TikTok, gaining a huge following.
These are some of the worst doctors caught on camera. Like, who on earth with a functioning frontal lobe would look at a living, breathing patient and ask if they're dead? Better yet, why would anyone think it's a good idea to live stream an operation on social media? Or what would you do if you were literally unconscious and found out the medical staff and the doctor allegedly mocked you repeatedly inside the operating room for no reason at all?
And really, after 5 minutes of talking to you in pre-op, I wanted to punch you in the face and man you up a little bit.
Why would you even say that about your own patient? When we go under anesthesia, we are completely helpless. We trust these professionals with our lives, and hearing them talk like this about someone who can't even fight back is disgusting. The doctor responsible for those comments was Tiffany Ingham, an anesthesiologist who had been working in the medical field for years. But her entire career fell apart during a routine colonoscopy. Before going under, the patient started recording audio on his phone just to remember his doctor's instructions for later. He forgot to turn it off, which meant his phone captured every single word spoken while he was totally passed out. Listen to how she talks about her own patient the second he loses consciousness.
So just make sure you're gowned up.
Can you give me some lube on the floor?
I don't want you to accidentally rub up against it. Syphilis on your arm or something. It's probably tuberculosis in the penis, so you'll be all right. Just get a PPD in like a month, and then you'll take some INH and be fine.
At another point, the doctor mocked the patient for feeling uncomfortable around IV needles.
And I'm putting his IV in. He's like, I always pass out when I look at them. Great.
Well, why are you looking then?
Using slurs against a sedated patient goes way past being unprofessional. It's just a cruel way to treat a person who can't defend themselves. As patients, we deserve to feel safe in an operating room, not targeted. The patient ended up filing a malpractice lawsuit over the incident. That recorded audio was so devastating that a jury awarded him $500,000 after listening to how the staff completely destroyed his trust. As awful as it is to be mocked while passed out, it's just as terrifying when a doctor does it right to your face. That's exactly what happened to Samuel Bardwell. He was at a Northern California emergency room after suffering a severe anxiety attack during basketball practice. But instead of getting care, he was met with immediate suspicion from Dr. Beth Keegstra. When Samuel was unable to pull himself up from his chair, the doctor lost her patience entirely.
I'm sorry, sir. You were the least sick of all the people who are here who are dying. Okay. There, so you picked your head up. Now, don't try to tell me you can't move.
Imagine asking for help in an emergency room and getting hit with that level of attitude. Even if a doctor thinks a case isn't life-threatening, shaming a patient who's actively asking for medical help is completely unacceptable. And even if they think the case is not as serious as others, that does not give them permission to shame the patient while they're asking for help. According to his father, Samuel had been dealing with severe anxiety attacks. He had missed his prescription medication for 2 days, causing the worst attack his family had ever seen him go through. It got even harder for Samuel when he tried explaining that inhaling deeply was painful for him. Instead of taking the complaint seriously, the doctor mocked him.
He must be dead. Are you dead, sir? I don't understand. You are breathing just fine.
This is not right, because I'm telling you.
He is breathing perfectly normally.
Even if the medical monitors showed his oxygen levels were normal, treating a patient like this is completely messed up. People go to the hospitals for answers and peace of mind when they're suffering. Mocking someone who feels like they can't breathe is a terrible way to handle a patient. Following the backlash, the hospital issued an apology directly to Samuel and his family. They also confirmed that the emergency service provider permanently removed the doctor from the facility, ensuring she would never be allowed to treat patients at their hospitals again. But Dr. Beth isn't the only emergency doctor who completely lost her temper with a patient. Over in Florida, a patient named Jessica Stipe went through a nightmare experience after waiting for over an hour while dealing with severe flu symptoms. The clinic director, Dr. Peter Gallogly, later claimed that Jessica had become aggressive to the staff and was making threats because of the long delay. He said they even refunded her money, but she refused to leave.
You were using profanity, not speaking nice to the doctors, threatening the staff.
None of that is true.
As the argument escalated, Jessica's daughter started recording the interaction on her phone, catching the exact moment the doctor snapped.
We've done a urine test on you. I've seen you.
You came in and said, I'm going to check your pee.
Does that take 3 seconds, you think?
I don't know how long.
Do you want to be seen or not?
I want to go home and get in my bed.
Then fine, get the hell out.
If I was feeling miserable and sitting in a waiting room for over an hour, I'd be frustrated too. Most people don't go to a clinic because they're having a great day. They're there because they're sick. Watching a medical professional completely lose his temper and scream at a patient like this is insane. But it got even worse when he realized the daughter was filming the entire thing.
Mom, I got it on video, so it doesn't matter.
Go.
What's your daughter? What's your name?
The doctor grabs the phone right out of the daughter's hand.
Give me my phone.
He literally lunged forward to grab the phone right out of her hands. Snatching a patient's personal property is incredibly unprofessional and just unhinged behavior for a doctor. Later on, after the video went viral online, the doctor released a public apology admitting he completely lost his temper. But he wasn't the only medical professional facing a major backlash online. Around the same time, a plastic surgeon named Catherine Roxanne Graw, known online as Dr. Roxy, built a massive following by posting dances and surgery clips on TikTok. According to reports, she live-streamed procedures while operating on patients and interacted with viewers during surgeries.
And sometimes I did silly or fun videos, simply to make people smile in this world, which is often negative and difficult.
But she wasn't just making fun videos. Dr. Roxy was actually answering TikTok comments while performing procedures. She later claimed an assistant was reading the questions out loud while she worked. But it raised massive concerns about where her focus actually was. To be honest, I don't really understand why some doctors do stuff like this. Did your parents not give you enough attention growing up? Why do you need to crave validation from random strangers online while you're actively operating on a patient? The medical community didn't understand it either. The State Medical Board of Ohio was so concerned they warned her directly about the dangers of live streaming during surgery. But she kept doing it anyway, and that lack of focus allegedly led to disaster. In December 2020, a patient underwent a liposuction procedure with Dr. Roxy and was rushed to the emergency room shortly after with severe abdominal pain. It turned out her bowel had been perforated, which basically means a hole was accidentally ripped straight through her intestine. This allowed waste to leak into her body, causing severe infections that required multiple corrective surgeries to fix. Liposuction requires constant attention and controlled movement. Looking away from the patient to check a camera for even a second creates massive risks, and this nightmare scenario was exactly what the medical board wanted to prevent. Because she ignored their warnings and put patients in serious danger, the state stepped in. In July 2023, the State Medical Board of Ohio permanently revoked Dr. Roxy's medical license, concluding that she failed to meet basic standards of care and prioritize social media over patient safety.
You were falling below the standards of care.
Or in this case, revoking license as deemed fit.
While some medical controversies played out in public, others involved allegations with far more devastating consequences for patients and their families. One of the worst involved former Dr. George Blatti, who was arrested and accused of running a massive pill mill. According to investigators, Blatti wasn't even using a real medical clinic. He would meet patients inside an abandoned storefront and sometimes wrote prescriptions straight from his car. Prosecutors said Blatti ignored every single red flag thrown his way. He brushed off clear signs of addiction, warnings from pharmacies, and desperate pleas from the families of his patients. Even after being told that people were literally overdosing on the medication he was writing, he just kept handing out dangerous drug combinations to collect cash and bill insurance. Officials pointed out that his whole operation was just about making a profit off vulnerable people who were struggling with addiction. Authorities linked 5 overdose deaths directly to his prescriptions, with some patients dying only days after seeing him. Michael Kinzer passed away just 2 days after a visit. Robert Milinis and Sean Keegley each died 11 days after receiving prescriptions from him.
The first doctor in New York that faced murder charges reduced to manslaughter. 5 patients died under his care.
Because he completely refused to stop, Blatti was arrested in 2019 and became one of the first doctors in New York to face second-degree murder charges. Prosecutors argued that his actions showed a complete disregard for human life, though the case was later reduced to manslaughter. During the sentencing, heartbroken relatives stood up to deliver emotional victim impact statements. They spoke about the birthdays, milestones, and futures that were completely stolen from their families, urging the judge to impose the maximum 15-year prison sentence. Another healthcare worker would soon become connected to allegations that shocked people for an entirely different reason. Elizabeth Wettlaufer worked as a nurse in both nursing homes and private care facilities before investigators started examining multiple patient deaths connected to her care. As the investigation unfolded, she eventually admitted to overdosing elderly patients with insulin. Authorities later determined that several patients died after receiving fatal doses.
I gave him a dose of 50 milligrams of insulin. He's not diabetic. Throughout the night, he was yelling out, "I love you," and "I'm sorry."
It's completely horrifying to hear her talk about this so casually. She knew exactly what that injection would do to a non-diabetic patient, and she went through with it anyway. An insulin overdose happens when someone gets way too much insulin, causing their blood sugar levels to crash to dangerously low levels. The interrogation footage is especially chilling because of how casual she sounds.
Did you feel like you were doing the right thing for these people?
No. I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do, but it wasn't what was right for them.
Wait, what do you mean you're supposed to do? The way she said it, it's like she's washing the dishes or taking out the trash. She didn't even think about whether it was right or wrong. She just treated ending a life like it was a regular chore she had to get over with. And that's what makes this so terrifying, because elderly residents in nursing homes depend on caregivers for almost everything. From their daily meals to basic medical support, they trust that the person entering their room is there to help them. Instead of protecting them, she was injecting them with lethal doses without any justification. There is nothing questionable about it. It is murder. Justice finally caught up with her when Elizabeth Wettlaufer was sentenced to life in prison after pleading guilty to the murders of 8 elderly patients in southwestern Ontario. The sentence was handed down inside a Woodstock courtroom while relatives and friends of the victims watched. Before the sentence was announced, the court also heard emotional victim impact statements from the families. Because she was convicted of first-degree murder, the sentence automatically carried life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. But not every medical controversy involved licensed professionals. Some cases featured people who should never have been inside a hospital in the first place. An 18-year-old named Malachi Love-Robinson managed to wander through hospital hallways dressed like a doctor. He convinced staff and patients that he belonged there, hanging around the facility for nearly a month before authorities finally caught on. Photos later surfaced showing a lab coat with his name right next to the word anesthesiologist. For anyone unfamiliar with the job, anesthesiologists are highly trained doctors who manage anesthesia and keep patients safe while they are unconscious during surgery. But it went way further than a simple hoax. He actually opened up a physical medical clinic called New Birth, New Life, and even put the letters MD right on his office sign. He later claimed he never meant to pretend to be a medical doctor, but investigators quickly found out that his medical certificates were completely fake. News footage showed him standing inside the office, presenting himself as a legitimate professional while defending his background during interviews.
Your training comprises of a lot of things.
Yeah, but you weren't in med school.
So I am not portraying as an MD.
That explanation is mind-boggling. It doesn't make any sense at all. He claimed he wasn't portraying himself as an MD, even though those letters were literally printed right on his door. He had absolutely no medical degree, yet he was running a clinic and treating patients. At one point, investigators discovered an 86-year-old woman who paid him nearly $3,500 for severe stomach pain treatments. Whenever reporters tried to challenge his background or ask about these patients, he completely shut down.
You a fraud because it seems like everything you're saying to me is either evasive or an outright lie.
I don't appreciate the way you're portraying this interview to actually be.
He rarely answered questions directly. Instead, he would redirect the conversation or hide behind his legal team.
Malachi, they say you've been practicing medicine without a license. What do you have to say? You told me you were not practicing medicine, Malachi.
You will hear from my lawyer.
Eventually, Malachi admitted he just became overly ambitious. This became one of the most famous fake doctor scams on the internet because people genuinely couldn't wrap their heads around how a kid managed to fool investors, patients, and actual hospital staff. Which one of these cases do you find the most concerning? Let me know in the comments and subscribe.